Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
What's up, guys? This is J Cal. This is the Alliance blog, and I'm on the road, daddy. I am on the road to Los Angeles, which I know many of you think in Southern California is a hop, skip, and a jump, but it's some 2 hours away from where I live. So I am on the road to see Game Changer Wrestling. I'm here to see the Coldest Winter, which it has been kind of the coldest winter. Anyone notice how freaking cold it's been? I digress. Game Changer Wrestling, GCW. Not my bag, baby. In fact, there's a Lucha Libre show that's literally running about 45 minutes away from my house that I'd probably enjoy more. You guys know Lucha Libre is kind of my bag. I've been fortunate enough to go to Mexico City to see Lucha Libre, Tijuana to see Lucha Libre, and of course up and down Southern California to see only the best in American Lucha Libre, which is a paradox. Anyways, with all that being said, Game Changer Wrestling tonight, they are presenting the Coldest Winter that will be headlined by Nick Nemeth taking on former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Matt freaking Cardona, always ready. Well, what do I know about GCW? Well, not much, to be quite honest. I don't follow the brand. I've never attended a GCW show. I've never been to a GCW event. They even for a short time, and maybe they still do, I'm not entirely sure, they used to run LA-based events that were specific to Southern California, which would feature a lot of the SoCal talent. I never went to one. I have had almost zero desire to be involved with GCW, and tonight's kind of like a morbid curiosity. What have I been missing? What about GCW is so damn good? And look, maybe I'll be a convert after tonight. Maybe I will buy in. Awfully, they honestly have been trying to reach out to an audience, and it's worked. You don't have as many shows as they run and have been able to, Brett Lauderdale has had some sort of pulse on the hotness of pro wrestling by being able to pick out those talents that will draw for him, obviously. Having John Moxley a part of the product, Matt Cardona, Joey Janela, hell, even the NWA's very own Kerry Morton have been involved with GCW, and that goes on top with guys like Nick Cage. And there was an underserved market. I mean, people remember ECW with all of its ultra-violent style of wrestling, hardcore wrestling, if you will. When ECW ceased to exist, a lot of other hardcore wrestling promotions spawned from that, including XPW, which at one point ran simultaneously with ECW against ECW. Out here, famously, ECW came to the Grand Olympic Auditorium, and there was a bit of a show of defiance from the XPW faithful in the crowd that led to a total riot out on the streets. We'll talk about that at another time. But, besides XPW, there was, of course, Combat Zone Wrestling, CZW, based in Delaware, New Jersey, the Northeast. And, for all intents and purposes, I've always thought that Game Changer was the heir from the heir to ECW. And when you see the shows that they put on, there is a plethora of styles of wrestling with talents from all over the world, really. So it's no surprise that tonight, Nick Nemeth, who's making his first appearance in Southern California since exiting the World Wrestling Entertainment, he is going to be showcased. This, I believe, is the first time Kerry Morton has been out here into Southern California. I'm very excited for him. I'm sure he won't be repping the Southern Six, though. But needless to say, this is kind of, one way or the other, this is an adventure for your boy Jay. I'm going to see some wrestling that I've never seen before, and I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know how much ultra violence there's going to be. I kind of hope there isn't. I don't want to breathe in, the material from the light tubes. Like, I don't want to see a bunch of broken glass in the ring. I'm not here for that, but I am here for good wrestling. If you are following along on social media, if you hadn't already done so, there will probably be photos and pictures. Photos are pictures, and video of tonight's wrestling. And of course, there'll be, video and stuff on our YouTube channel at The Alliance Blog. Make sure you click, comment, and subscribe to see more. And I'm on my way to, like I said, Game Changer Wrestling. When I come back from this commercial break, I will tell you a little bit about my experience tonight, and I hope you'll be here to listen. Times are tough now, guys, and it's no joke out here. That's why I'm very proud to be partnering with the Upside app. They're leveling the playing field, guys. They're giving you opportunities to earn cash back on purchases for groceries, purchases for gasoline, purchases for food. These are the things we all spend our money on all the time. I believe in Upside. I use Upside weekly. My lifetime earnings is over $408, and you too can be earning cash back on your fill-ups, your groceries, or your eating out experiences just by signing up, and it's free. By using my invite code JASON75338, that's Jason 753338, you'll earn $5 cash back on your first fill-up. Use the link in the video description or download the app, but make sure you use that invite code JASON753338 and make money by using the Upside app. So, turns out I didn't get home till really late last night, and I didn't remember to finish recording the podcast on the way home. Go figure. It was also raining, so probably not the best idea to try to record audio while driving home in the rain. Anyways, I was surprised and shocked and had way more fun than I thought I would at a Game Changer Wrestling show. And I'll get to the event in just a minute, but last night something else also very significant happened, something that I think we should recognize as a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion became a two-time MLW World Heavyweight Champion, and I'm talking about Satoshi Kojima. The Leon Satoshi. Satoshi Kojima last night defeated Alex Kane. Boombaye, it's for the people. But last night it was for Kojima as he captured the MLW World Heavyweight Championship. Now get this, dig this, brother. Kojima is a former MLW World Champion in his own right. In fact, he held the title for 267 days when he won the title back in September of 2002. And the crazy thing is he beat Jerry Lynn in a tournament to crown a new champion back in 2002. That happened at the Manhattan Center, New York City. Kojima would go on to take the title. The Major League Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship would go on to be defended in All Japan Pro Wrestling. It would be defended in WMF 01. Rainbow Promotion Battle. I don't even know what the heck that is. In fact, most of Kojima's title defenses were in Japan when he won the title. He defended against Vampiro at King of Kings. He defended against Mr. Ganosuke at WMF. He defended against Shinjiro Otani, and that was at 01. He defended against Johnny Smith in All Japan. He defended against Kitaro Kanamura. He defended against John Tenta. You remember John Tenta, right? You don't? That was the WWE's earthquake. Now, this obviously was later in his career, but that was in an All Japan ring. He defended the title in an All Japan ring against John freaking Tenta. That's just wild to me when you think about it. He would later take the title back to MLW, defending it for the final time on June 20, 2003 against Mike Awesome. As history would show, Mike Awesome would win the title, and we wouldn't see Kojima again until nearly 21 years later. Some of you listening right now weren't even born when Kojima was champion the first time around, and he joins a very exclusive list of champions. I mean, the original champion of MLW was Shane Douglas. Satoshi Kojima, Mike Awesome, Steve Corino, Shane Strickland became champion when the promotion restarted in 2018, followed by Low-Key, Filthy Tom Lawler, Jacob Fatu, Alexander Hammerstone, Alex Kane, and of course Kojima, who won the title this year, last night. So that's really cool, and I'm so excited, of course. For those of you who have been following around Kojima's career, he is a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He also held the tag team titles with Hiroshi Tenzan. He won the World Heavyweight title by defeating Rob Conway, and he won that title back in 2014. So that was 10 years ago, in between his major... well, I can't even say that, because he's also held the Pro Wrestling Noah Global Honor Championship back in 2022. So we're just talking like 2 years ago. And the other thing that should be noted is that Kojima was a protege of the great Muta. And as such, when Muta left New Japan Pro Wrestling to start All Japan Pro, not start, but to kind of take over booking for All Japan, he would follow with Taiyo Ki. And he and Taiyo Ki would become the All Japan Pro Wrestling Tag Champions. Later, he would win the All Asian Tag Team titles with I believe Shiru, and then he would come back after holding the MLW World Title. He would head back to New Japan Pro Wrestling, where he would become the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, and also held that title synonymously, yeah, I think that's the right word, with the Triple Crown Championship of All Japan Pro Wrestling, where he held both titles for some time. He actually would end up becoming a two-time IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. He would end up being a two-time Triple Crown Champion. Of course, he held the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. He held the MLW Now World Championship twice. And the GHC, the Global Honored Crown, the Pro Wrestling Noah title. So you have to give respect to Mr. Kojima, as he is now a world champion for a somewhat big wrestling promotion in the United States. And I know that sounds kind of like I'm dismissing it, but I'm really not. I feel very fondly about MLW. I feel like that promotion is on the verge of blowing up in a positive way. And I can't wait to see what's next for Kojima and seeing what's next for MLW. Now, with all that being said, right, it bears that we need to celebrate the former champion, who was Alex Kane. Now, Alex Kane had the title for 210 days, and he defeated Alex Hammerstone to win the title back last year in July. He defended against Willie Mack. He defended against former champion Tom Lawler, former champion Jacob Fatu. He defended and defeated Matt Cardona. He defeated Timo Thesis, and that was in Germany. He took the title to Germany. He also he actually was in part of another match in Germany too, but the MLW title was not on the line. Then Alex Kane would defend against Richard Holiday at the last MLW event, Kings of Colosseum. But last night at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Satoshi Kojima ends the reign of Alex Kane and is now your new champion. So congrats to him, congrats to MLW, and I can't wait to see what's next. So again, MLW's Super Fight 2024 that saw Kojima win the title was such an important event, but it wasn't the only event happening last night. Of course, your boy Jay was at Game Changer Wrestling, the Coldest Winter #2, live at the Ukrainian Culture Center in Los Angeles, California. Shout out to my boy Atox for helping me get situated with the ticket in the very choice seating section. Thank you, Mr. Atox, for all your help on that. Atox is a friend of Alliance. If you guys were at the 75th anniversary, he was hanging out with us on night number 2. Now, the pay-per-view is a little bit different, of course, from the live event. There was a match that happened beforehand, which featured the likes of Jordan Cruz and Primo from the United Wrestling Network, and their opponent, I didn't know who he was, and I didn't hear the introduction. I missed it, so with all apologies, I don't really know who he was. It was hard to see the match because I was still trying to get to my seat. I was still trying to get to where I wanted to be. Of course, J-Cow was written on the seat that I was sitting on, so I felt like I was in the right spot, getting that VIP treatment. Thanks again, Atox. But the show had already started, so we were a little bit late. And that, although the Ukrainian Culture Center in Los Angeles is beautiful, it was a tight squeeze, man. There's a lot of fans out there to see Game Changer Wrestling, which I think is great. You know, they operate on both coasts. They really kind of globetrot. Is it globetrot when you're just in North America? They go all over the United States, which I think is great for wrestling fans, especially if you're a fan of this kind of style of wrestling. Now, I was under the impression that this was like going to be all hardcore wrestling, and I was incorrect. That's not what Game Changer is all about. In fact, there's a little known tie that brings Game Changer Wrestling to the National Wrestling Alliance. For those of you who remember the name Ricky O, was the co-promoter of NWA Liberty States with David Marquez. That was a promotion he opened up later. The promotion he originally ran was Jersey Championship Wrestling, JCW. And JCW existed until around 2015 when he sold Ricky O sold the brand to Danny Demento and current owner Brett Lauderdale. Yes, that Brett Lauderdale. And according to sites like Wikipedia, the promotion specializes in hardcore wrestling as well as mixed martial arts and inspired shoot-style matches. But there was no shoot fighting. There was no mixed martial arts. This was a pretty standard wrestling show, and in the wake of the hiatus of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, it kind of fills a niche that's been missing in Southern California since PWG has went on their break. So again, I didn't know what to expect. I know that the card was going to be headlined by Nick Nemeth and Matt Cardona, and knowing that Nick Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler in the WWE, and Matt Cardona, always ready, former NWA World Champion. You would think that would be the match that would highlight the night. That would be the main event. But that's where you'd be mistaken, because I feel like maybe GCW does things a little bit differently, because Nemeth and Cardona went on first. And the match itself was pretty exciting. You could tell in the beginning of the match it was very much a feeling out process. It felt like both competitors were just trying to test the waters, and it honestly, I kind of felt like they were going to mail it in, especially with it being the opening match of the pay-per-view that's available on Triller TV. Those guys, but the match, of course, saw a lot of false finishes. They were kind of telling a story. The opening promo, and I wish I would have been quick enough to record it, but the former world's heavyweight champion accused Nick Nemeth of trying to come into GCW a la The Rock, and trying to steal his spot a la Cody. And as Cardona wants to finish his story of becoming GCW World Champion, he felt like Nick Nemeth was in there to steal that spot, which didn't sit well with him. And he said, hey, you already got paid. Just lay down and do the job for me. You know I should be the main guy here. So it was kind of funny, to be quite honest, but also at the same time it was a little hit a little too close to home, right? Because former NWA World Champion Cody Rhodes, I'm kind of a Cody guy, so that I guess it hit where it was supposed to. There was some outside interference from Steph DeLander, the SDL. She got involved quite a bit. Ryan Nemeth came out to make the save. He got super kicked from SDL for his troubles. I think it was Nick Nemeth's father also got involved. It was kind of a weird, chaotic ending, which saw Nemeth get the victory. 1, 2, 3. And fun match, real fun match. I think it would have been, I'd have liked to have seen it on the pay-per-view. I think it would have played out even better. Then the next match up for the night, we got somebody I'd never seen before, Man Like DeReese. I've never seen this guy before. Had a great look, great build. He was taking on Chris Bay. And now, if you're familiar with Chris Bay, again, we're huge fans of Chris Bay. He was part of the United Wrestling Network for quite some time. He's a former UWN Tag Team Champion. He is currently the, I believe he's still the TNA Tag Team Champions with Ace Austin, I think that's his name. Man, now I feel bad for not knowing. Anyways, this was a great, highly competitive match. They did highs and lows in this match, and it was kind of weird because I felt like we hit a few lows too early, too often, but it felt like the sportsmanship of Chris Bay was able to get things back on track a few times. This one, these guys were very evenly matched. A lot of really stiff shots in the match, a lot of high flying. If you're into that style of wrestling, again, my favorite style of wrestling, I've said this lots of times, is the WCW Cruiserweight division of like 1996, 1997. These guys would have fit right in there. Very, very akin to the X division in early 2000s with TNA. So this was a very fun and exciting match. It's one that I was happy to see, and I'll be keeping my eyes open for Man Like DeReese for sure. Then the next match was former NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion and future legend, member of the Southern Six, Kerry Morton, as I think he made his Los Angeles debut. He might have been here before, but this is the first time I can remember Kerry Morton being out here in Southern California, and he was taking on the 70-year-old, 50-year veteran of the ring, Mike Jackson, who definitely was making his Southern California debut, and it was incredible. We posted a video last night on YouTube, the shorts. You can check it out. He still got it for a guy that old. He's incredible. And, a couple years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, I had friends telling me, you should check out Action Mike Jackson. And I just scratched my head. Said, why do I want to follow some guy who's 60 plus years old doing pro wrestling? But this guy is gifted. He is amazing in the ring. It's admirable that he can still wrestle at such a high level. Now, I don't expect Action Mike Jackson to have a 5-star match. And if that's what you're expecting, lower your standards. But he had a fun match with Kerry Morton, worked the arm, did the real old school where he circled the ring, took some stiff bumps too. Kerry had to cheat to win, got his foot on the rope. Referee didn't see it. 1, 2, 3. That was it for old Mike Jackson. But I was, being a fan of professional wrestling for as long as I have been, and never seen a live action Jackson match before, I was so happy that I got to see him. And I know, Jay, he's 70 years old. You shit all over Ricky Morton. You shit all over Ric Flair. How can you justify this guy being in the ring? And I'll tell you this, man, he looked good. He looked good for 70. We should all be so lucky. Up next was Hammerstone. I didn't know Hammerstone was supposed to be here. In fact, Hammerstone was supposed to be squaring up against Richard Holiday, and I guess that match somehow got changed. So we got Charles Mason, who, again, have no idea who this cat is. He's wearing a shirt and tie to the ring. He wrestled in the tie the entire time. He didn't have the tie on, but he wrestled in the dress shirt and the slacks, and it just was a weird look. This guy was so much smaller than Hammerstone, but he did put some damage on him. I'll say that. And it was a relatively easy match for Hammerstone. When I say it was easy, like, he seemed to be in control for most of it, but that guy Charles Mason got in some pretty good offense, but in the end it was Hammerstone with the Nightmare Pendulum for the victory. Mason post-match attacked Hammerstone with a chair, taking out his leg, so we don't know what condition Hammerstone will be in next, but it was a good match. Next up was Los Desperados, which featured a mix of talent from Mexico and GCW. If you're not familiar with Los Desperados, it is Arez. You might remember Arez from the NWA versus Mexico tour, where Arez showed up teaming. Now I can't remember who he teamed up with. Let me think here for a minute. If my memory serves me, he teamed up with La Hidera versus Aaron Stevens and Natalia Markova. That's a match that they won, and it's oddly enough, Arez actually had appeared on one of the old NWA Mexico shows that was produced by Blue Demon Jr. back in like 2010. So Arez is no stranger to the NWA. Of course, then he would make his appearance at the Crockett Cup as the Los Vipers with Toxin. He took Toxin. Los Vipers took on the Heat Seekers in the first round and won. That was in Winston-Salem, and of course, that was the pre-show. The next night, they went against the Mortons and lost, and then were a part of the United States Tag Title Gauntlet on the pre-show for night number 2, which the Country Gentlemen, Kazana and Andrews, ended up winning. But they were Arez was in that group as well. But this team is not that team, and I guess I should stick to what I'm talking about. Arez, Gringo Loco, and Latigo took on Starboy Charlie, Titus Alexander, and Bodie Young Prodigy. Now, Bodie Young Prodigy is a kid, and I legitimately mean kid. He's 16 years old, that I saw back in November for a wrestling promotion out in my neck of the woods called Valley Wrestling Connection. And he is exactly what his name is. He's a young prodigy, but he's great in the ring. This was very much a lucha libre match, and although Gringo Loco is an American-born wrestler, Rez and Latigo are both Mexican-born, obviously, and the Los Desperados is very much a lucha-based tag team trio. Bodie Young Prodigy, Starboy Charlie, and Titus Alexander all really solid in the ring. It was a bit weird seeing Bodie getting tossed around, and again, stay tuned to our socials, especially at the Alliance blog on YouTube, where I'll have a few of the clips. One move in particular launched a Bodie Young into the ring into I believe it was a pile driver or power bomb. It was pretty intense, and the kid had a lot of heart. They ended up losing to Los Desperados, but all the credit in the world to Bodie Young Prodigy. Starboy Charlie, I think, is a guy that you're going to see blow up real soon. I think he's going to be a name that people are going to be talking about in much bigger circles. And same thing with Titus Alexander. These guys are all really talented individuals. And Starboy Charlie might be the guy who I think is going to take it to the next level in 2024. Next up was one of Billy Corgan's biggest fans, Effie, teaming with Ali Catch. They team as Bussy, taking on Masha Slamovich and Raina Yamashita. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Now, this match, I'm not a huge intergender fan, and that's one thing that Game Changer Wrestling does not shy away from. There was at least 4 matches that featured some intergender wrestling in some shape or capacity. This was one of them. And the match itself was really fun. I saw Effie live a few times years ago, nothing recently. And Alley Catch I've never seen live. Same with Masha and Rena. Now, some of you guys might remember Masha from the Pretty Empowered pay-per-view, but she is so much more of a badass today than she was even then. This match was really back and forth. A lot of spots that traditional NWA fans probably wouldn't be too big on. I won't go into those in detail because I don't want to be demonetized, but they're a little risque if you ask me. The match was halted when Mance Warner invaded the ring with a screwdriver and went to town on alley catches. She bled at the hands of Mance Warner. It looked like he was about to do the same to Rina Yamashita until Masha stood in the way. And once Effie was back up on his feet, they chased out Mance Warner. It was kind of a surreal moment. I've seen Mance Warner wrestle his face last year back in Columbia, Illinois. I got to see Mance Warner with WrestleMax St. Louis. This was a different, very different Mance Warner. And one, it's kind of weird to see him be such a babyface in one place and such a heel in the other. But of course, it's Game Changer Wrestling. They like to push the envelope a little bit. I'm excited to see what's next for what they're going to do with him. And now Mance Warner was a guy who most recently was working with MLW. There's a couple guys here that were recently tied to MLW. We mentioned Hammerstone. We mentioned Mance Warner. And of course, earlier in the night, there was not Matt Cardona, excuse me. Well, maybe that was it. Maybe those are the only two that I was thinking of. Anyway, so yeah, that was fun. That was a good match. I say good match. It wasn't a good match. It was an interesting match. One that should have, I would have liked to see a winner. I would have liked to seen a decision made there, and obviously we didn't get that. Next up was another trios match. Another team from Mexico, Las Magicios, easy for me to say, Cicople, which I don't believe was the one from WCW, and Medio Extremo. They teamed with Sandra Moon, who a lot of United Wrestling Network fans could remember her, and they took on the team of Bobby Flaco, Cole Radrick, and Mr. Danger. Now, Cole Radrick, Ratty Daddy, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe I saw him also in St. Louis. In fact, if I'm just trying to think back to WrestleMax, maybe it was, and I'm just, yes, I did see him there. He took on ATM. So that was the second time I've seen Cole Radrick. I thought I saw him before. And these guys were very intense in the ring. They really did go after Sandra Moon in this match. And it again, not being a fan of intergender wrestling, Sandra Moon is a very capable athlete. She's great, but I didn't like to see it. It just kind of felt weird. So I wasn't really into this match. Now when Cicople and Medio Extremo were in the ring, it was fun. Got to see a lot of like lucha style of wrestling. Again, I'll have clips up on the YouTube channel. Make sure you stay tuned to that, and on social medias we'll share them everywhere. But again, I think part of the match, to me, it was a turnoff. I shouldn't say it like that. That sounds weird. It takes me out of the reality of the fantasy. It puts reality into the fantasy, however you want to say it. And I guess I'm allowed to have that opinion, whether you agree or disagree. Sometimes it works. This one, I didn't like it. Sandra Moon is double tough. She took a lot of punishment in that match, but I would have rather just seen like maybe Los Magicios versus Bobby Flaco and Cole Radrick and something else. The next match was a very I guess widely publicized match, and it was Su Yung, formerly of TNA Wrestling Impact, and she actually was out here doing an autograph signing at the Wrestling Guy store. I think it was Wrestling Guy store. I don't know. Man, I should have some facts written down when I start talking like that. And she was in a match with Santana Jackson. Santana Jackson is a homage to Michael Jackson. And complete with the Thriller red jacket, the glove, the jam-on, the lean, and the moonwalking. It's kind of a spectacle, and of course, this is kind of, they do, as GCW throws a wide net trying to appeal to a very large audience. There is certainly an audience who enjoys stuff like this, and this is the kind of stuff that probably goes viral. But I didn't like it. At one point, Su Yung had like put Santana Jackson through some sort of table, and he disappeared underneath the ring. Assuming I was on the other side, I couldn't really see, but then the music hit and they started playing Thriller, and out comes a guy wearing a mask, wearing a similar style jacket to Michael Jackson in Thriller, wearing a werewolf mask, something like out of Altered Beast, I guess. And then Su Yung easily dispatched that one. And then the music goes off again, and another guy comes out with a homage to Michael Jackson wearing a werewolf mask. And again, Su Yung easily dispatches this guy. Then the music hits a third time, and you can see Su Young's obviously frustrated. The demon, what is it? The Demon's Bride? What did they call her in TNA? Shoot, I don't know. The Undead Bride, that's what it is. She just kept getting frustrated more and more with these parallel Michael Jackson werewolf dudes. So it was kind of just bizarre. It was weird. Eventually, the real Santana Jackson came out with this wolf mask, and again, this is silly. This is stuff that I'm not definitely into, but they try their best to make it work. Now, the one thing I will say is that in Game Changer Wrestling, much like in ECW, the rules are very, very relaxed. They do allow weapons to be used, chairs to be used, and lots of times throughout the show we saw chairs and tables. And by tables, I mean actual doors, not real tables, involved in matches. And you would see the wrestlers gingerly sit on a table, hoping that it didn't snap under their own weight before the wrestler that they were wrestling against crashed down upon them, destroying the table into smithereens. That's kind of how most of these matches ended. But Santana Jackson ended up getting the victory over Su Yung. It was, again, a spectacle. Not my cup of tea, but I did appreciate the creativity in it. I did appreciate some of the athleticism, and Su Young's kind of got a name from her time in TNA wrestling, so it was interesting seeing her in a much very different capacity. That would bring us to the world title match, where Blake Christian took on the Dark Sheik. The Dark Sheik is a female wrestler, a trans female wrestler, who I remember from a very long time ago. And the Dark Sheik has always been an incredible wrestler in the ring. And now that she is comfortable in her own skin, I think that's pretty cool. I haven't talked a lot about the Dark Sheik on the podcast because the Dark Sheik really doesn't work for the NWA or promotions associated with the NWA, United Wrestling Network, or any of that stuff. So never really spent a lot of time talking about the Dark Sheik, but happy that they were able to be comfortable and find what they needed to be in life. With that being said, this match was incredible. It was brutal. It was hard hitting. Again, I don't like intergender style of wrestling. It's weird to me. So I didn't really enjoy this match. I think I tried to let go of that for this match because, again, it was for the world title. They are comparable in size. I mean, I think Blake Christian's probably had maybe 20 to 40 pounds on the Dark Sheik, and I'm not trying to be insulting. Blake Christian looked really good shape, but I just felt like at least these two were kind of more evenly matched in terms of size. And Sheik took a beating. I mean, there was one spot where the Sheik was pulling out a door from underneath the ring, and Blake Christian just dove right through it, and that door exploded in Sheik's face, and she had blood just pouring from her face. It was it was certainly a hard way to be busted open. And the whole time I kept looking at Blake Christian, I kept thinking, like, man, that's where we want Kerry Morton to be. That's who we want Kerry Morton to be. I think he could get there. I think Kerry Morton could be a Blake Christian. And in some regards, they're almost interchangeable. I think that's what young Kerry Morton should aspire to be, is a worker like Blake Christian, because he's already got the promo skills to back it up. I just think he would benefit from getting a lot more seasoning in the ring. This match, again, was very, very hardcore. A lot of weapons being used, a lot of blood being shed. And again, I'll have clips and stuff up on YouTube as long as they'll allow those kind of violent matches. However, post-match, after Blake Christian won, MDK gang, Nick Cage, who, again, I'm only passingly familiar with this guy. He was famously arrested for, I believe, robbing a bank, and I'm not making that up. He had feuded with Jon Moxley while Moxley was still working with Game Changer Wrestling, in between working with AEW. And he was actually featured on an AEW show, and he used to pizza cutter on Jon Moxley. That's what I know him from, and robbing a bank. And he came out and put over the Dark Sheik, put over the LA crowd, put over GCW, and used every expletive he could in the meantime. These shows are obviously not intended for kids. They're intended for young adults. Even, I don't think this show is geared towards me at all, but I did enjoy a lot of the athleticism. I enjoyed a lot of the pure wrestling that we saw. I would love to see more of that in a wrestling promotion that uses some of the big names in an opening match capacity, which kind of blew my mind. But maybe Matt Cardona wanted to go to Disneyland or something. I don't know. It was a good night. It was a good show, and it changed my opinion on what is Game Changer Wrestling, and I would be inclined to go to another Game Changer Wrestling again in the future. So I think that's going to wrap it up here. I appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you at the matches. Thank you for tuning in to the Alliance Blog Podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, the premier source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. Would you consider subscribing so you never miss a new episode? You can follow us on all social media at the Alliance Blog, and we stream live on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern at the Alliance Blog. Until then, we are the Alliance.